This is the only version of this you'll see on the internet, so buckle up. It's my 2025 Travel and Airport Lounge Wrapped. Next slide. Any day. Let's talk about the miles I flew this year. It was a whopping 73,713 miles. For reference, a flight to Japan one way is about 7,000 miles. So multiply that by times 10 and you got how many times I flew this year. In terms of flights that I took to get to that 73,000 miles, it was 44 flights. I freaking hate this math, which took me to 4 different countries in 5 different states and 18 different cities. Out of those 44 flights, 12 of those were business class flights. And of those 12 flights, 6 of them were upgrades. Free upgrades, did not pay. And of course, you know by now that with all that travel has to come me in an airport lounge. So the total amount of airport lounges that I went to this year was a whopping 42. Here are all the airport lounges I went to. Of those 42, 20 of them were different lounges. And of those 42 lounges, I spent 42 hours in them. That is almost 2 days. My most visited lounge was also the lounge that I spent the most time in, which was the Chase Reserve Lounge at LaGuardia. And out of those 42 lounges, these are my top 3 lounges. With the first one being Japan Airlines First Class Lounge at Haneda Airport. I rank them highly for their food, but mostly their service and ambience overall. They are a classy lounge. I look like trash in that lounge, but that's okay because I'm welcome there. The second being, of course, the Chase Sapphire Reserve Lounge at LaGuardia. It is the most convenient and it has the most variety in food. Even though sometimes the food is a hit miss, I do appreciate some variety. And the third being the Soho Lounge at JFK for their vibes and ambiance. It is such a cool, chic looking lounge. But third is actually tied with AA's flagship lounge in Philadelphia. It is their newest flagship lounge that just opened earlier this year, like a few months ago. Service is great. They have an ice cream bar. Everything's new. What more can you ask for? Let's go into my longest flight of the year, which, spoiler, if you can't tell from this picture, it's Delhi, India. And my shortest flight of the year is one that I frequent very often. Washington, D.C., where I was born and raised. Not actually in D.C., but you know, UDMV people, you know. And let's talk about my craziest flight of the year, which would happen to be my day trip to Chicago when I went to surprise my sister for her Chicago Marathon, and I didn't want to spend money in a hotel. So I flew out the morning of about 7 a.m. and then ran into her at the marathon, cheered her on, and then had dinner and then left to fly back home. Flight was delayed. Got home probably like around midnight, maybe a little after. It was like a 16-hour day. Yeah. Moving on to the top 3 dishes that I had at airport lounges. With the first being this guy. If some of you guys remember this, last year I posted this on my story, and so many of you guys thought I was a disgusting human being who was eating a block of butter. A block of butter. Can you see that? Yes, I can see that it does look like a block of butter. It in fact was not a block of butter, but it was an egg. This was a bacon, egg, and cheese bao at the Chase Sapphire Reserve Lounge at LaGuardia. I had this last year, but I also had it this year, and this still ranks up there as one of my favorite things at an airport lounge. My next favorite thing at an airport lounge, beef curry. Where? Of course, the Japan Airlines First Class Lounge in Haneda. I get this every single time I go. I can't live without it. It's so good. One of the best beef curries I've had. And my third being sushi. Of course, also at the Japan Airlines First Class Lounge in Haneda. This is the tuna nigiri and tamago. Like 2 of my favorite things. If they had salmon, it would be, my life would be complete. Okay. But just look how red that tuna is. So fresh, so good. Of course, I can't just talk about the best food at airport lounges without talking about the best dishes that I had on an airplane. Okay, so the first one being one of the first things I had earlier this year, life-changing cookie, okay? It was a warm cookie on my flight from JFK to LAX. It even came with milk. It was a warm cookie on a flight with milk. I have still thought about that moment 10 months later. Incredible. With our next being, that looks pretty good, huh? Short rib and mac and cheese on my flight from Charlotte to San Diego. This was the most filling and comforting meal on a plane that I've had in such a long time. What more can you ask for than a braised short rib with some cheesy mac and cheese? That bread was pretty good too, I'm not gonna lie. And the last being actually something I just had the other week. It is a custard pudding Haagen-Dazs ice cream on my flight from Haneda to JFK. It is like flan in ice cream form. You can see like the little caramel bits in it. If you like flan, you would love this ice cream. It is so delicious and rich and custardy and it's so good. And that wraps it up for my 2025 Travel and Airport Lounge. I hope you enjoyed watching and let me know if you want to see this for 2026.